we are going to go into our free agent signings. And so far, we have a pretty good list.
Yeah, I mean, nothing like last week's. Last week's list was
literally ginormous.
Yeah, this week we still have a good little amount here.
But what I do like is a lot of these signings could make or break a season. I like to see the Raiders are making signings, the Falcons made some signings, and the Vikings made a couple signings. So we'll go over all of that right now. So the Bengals, they signed Cardinals linebacker Kevin Minter to a 1-year deal. Minter had 81 tackles and 3.5 sacks last season in Glendale, Arizona. He used to be like the quarterback of the defense, the middle linebacker. Now he's been more of an inside linebacker, pass rusher. Right. So it'd be interesting to see what the Bengals use him as, since they already have Ray Maluga and Vontaze Burfict. We'll see where Minter fits in because he's a starter. The Bills signed Raiders wide receiver Andre Holmes, 3 years, $6.5 million. After losing Marquise Goodwin and Robert Woods, you had to do something. Mm-hmm. But that's not quite the number 2 I had in mind. When you have a guy like Sammy Watkins, who's honestly a
stud if he's not injured, but
a complete stud. In one game, he had 3 catches for 121 yards, and like 70 of them were yards after catch.
Yeah, he's a very good player, but he can't stay on the field.
Has to be on the field to win. Yeah, you're right. And so I thought the Bills could have made a better signing at wide receiver, made a better push at someone, probably knowing that they were going to lose both those guys. The Colts signed linebacker Sean Spence to a 1-year deal. Sean Spence, former Cowboy. Really don't have much to say on that. Here's a big signing. The Falcons signed Chiefs defensive tackle Dontari Poe, 1 year, $10 million. Big dude in the middle. Yeah. Huge dude in the middle. Looking like 320 pounds big.
He was definitely one of the most sought-after defensive players of this free agent group that we had here. My little brother is a big Falcons fan, and he was very happy with the signing.
Yeah, I would have been too.
And the wide receiver they got on top of that wasn't too bad with Andre Roberts.
No, and that's just that. Lions wide receiver Andre Roberts comes in also 1 year, $1.8 million. Andre Roberts is playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's been playing. He came from a team, and he went to Washington. I forget exactly. Andre Roberts, he came from the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. Couldn't find a spot between the 2 Browns and Larry Fitzgerald. So he went to the Redskins trying to be their number 2 guy. And then they ended up signing Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson. So he found himself on the outside. Then he goes to the Lions, and Marvin Jones comes in, and he didn't expect that either. So he's always been trying to be this number 2 guy, yet not being on a team he's always been outshined, unfortunately.
Right.
I'd really like to see what he does with this chance with Matt Ryan. And obviously, no Roddy White for a while, so you don't have to worry about him taking your job.
Yeah.
And Julio Jones, Harry Douglas, all a bunch of guys that are really good at their position, but we'll see. Yeah. Andre Roberts is getting stuck.
We do have one comment here, and this is from Mike Gable again, regarding the Colts signings. He said nobody's talking about them because they're not big names, which you just said. And then he said he would not be surprised if they win the AFC South crown this year. And we did talk about that a little bit last week.
That's kind of up in the air. All 4 teams can win it.
I'm still thinking the Titans. I really like the Titans' outlook over the next few years, but I could certainly see the Colts doing it too, and even the Jags could be a wild card there on that. Other than the Texans, really.
That whole division needs to be watched.
Yeah.
Carefully. And it's almost going to be like a NFC East type of thing from a couple years ago when none of the teams were really that good. Tony Romo was good, but Eli Manning's coming off a Super Bowl slumps, and the whole Vic Foles, Cobb fiasco was there. Tony Romo wasn't doing his thing, and Kirk Cousins didn't exist. It was, I don't even know who.
Right.
Jason Campbell.
Yeah.
So, we're finally seeing a top-tier division, the NFC East, and now the AFC South is looking like the NFC East from years ago.
Could be building it up.
So we'll go over. Oh, yeah. You know what? You take this one.
So next we have the Patriots. They re-signed linebacker Donta Hightower to 4 years, $43.5 million, with $19 million guaranteed. That's a huge one.
That's a huge one.
And sorry, I actually skipped right over the Giants, which I didn't even
We'll get to later.
Realize.
I was like, wait, does he know that that's not?
So, Donta Hightower, and that was actually something, I had predicted maybe the Raiders
Yeah, because they had money to throw.
The Raiders have just, I mean, they have made some signings this past week, but in my opinion, dropped the ball as far as defense goes.
And $60 million in cash and cap space.
So back up to the New York Giants. They did re-sign defensive end Jason Pierre-Paul, 4 years, $62 million guaranteed. $62 million with $40 million of that guaranteed. That's a huge signing. I know a lot of Giants fans, myself, happy with that signing. Some people are unhappy with it, but you can't.
A lot of money, dude.
You have him and Olivier Vernon on the outsides. That's two of the best defensive ends in the league, in my opinion. And then they also signed Josh Johnson, who was with the team last year as third string after Ryan Nassib. And they also signed Geno Smith, which
and no more
controversial pickup.
And no more Ryan Nassib, so it would be these two competing for the backup to Eli Manning.
Absolutely.
I like Geno Smith, but he just never got it together.
Right. Well, it's hard. Can you blame it on do you blame it on the Jets? Do you blame it on Geno? Do you blame it on just the media being crazy or what?
That Jets is literally a circus.
Yeah.
It's a circus.
And they have been for years now. It's crazy to see how long this has gone.
Since Mark Sanchez's sophomore year, they've been a joke.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It'll be interesting to see if Geno can actually take that second spot. And, I mean, God forbid Eli get injured. He hasn't missed a game in his career since he's been starting. But, you have Geno as a backup. Could be huge for the Giants with Eli aging. You're either going to see the Giants, fall apart if Geno has to start or surprise some people with Geno starting. So it'll be interesting to watch.
You go to the, and we've seen this before with a couple players where they leave an organization and get immediately better going into another one. Mm-hmm. So I hope that this is one of those. And we have the last couple signings here. The Raiders did go after some players. They picked up Packers tight end Jared Cook on a 2-year, $12.2 million deal. They also went after Vikings wide receiver and kick returner Cordarrelle Patterson on a 2-year deal. Thought he was going to go back to Minnesota. And they picked up Dolphins linebacker Jelani Jenkins. And then they also went after Bills quarterback E.J. Manuel. E.J. Manuel will be the backup starter or will compete for the backup with Connor Cook. I liked all these signings a lot because they're all high-value pick, and they didn't cost a lot of money. That's what you'll see a lot of in these these few weeks. These aren't the big names anymore coming off. I'm interested to see what Adrian Peterson gets. That's like the next and only him and Jamal Charles.
Yeah, both are the big names, but
yeah,
both guys, in my opinion, that still might get paid way more than they deserve at this point.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I could see Jamal Charles maybe going to the Eagles, but yeah, and the thing with the Raiders, these are good signings. But, dude, we didn't even maximize on our cap space yet.
Right.
At all.
Where's the upgrades on the D?
I would have liked to seen that. We got Jelani Jenkins, but he's undersized. And he gets injured a lot because he's a sideline linebacker. And so, yeah, I get it. You're 200 and maybe 20 pounds, and and you're built. But you're going after guys that are 300. Slamming into guys that are your own weight.
Right.
Typically, you want your linebacker to be a little bit bigger than the team's running back, other than Jerome Bettis. That doesn't come around often, or Eddie Lacy.
Right.
Let's move on to the New Orleans Saints. The Saints have nothing official, but a source told ESPN's Dan Graziano that they are close to signing former Chargers linebacker Manti Te'o, and that signing could come as soon as tomorrow, Tuesday. So let's see what goes on there. Moving on to the Seattle Seahawks. They did get a running back, but it wasn't Adrian Peterson. It was Packers running back Eddie Lacy. They signed him to a 1-year, $5.5 million deal with a weight clause.
This clause is actually kind of funny. So
interesting.
Something I don't think has ever happened in NFL, as far as I know.
No, but it puts some incentive.
Yeah.
It puts some incentive. So here's Eddie Lacy's contract. Over 7 months that he's signed, he has to weigh in, and if he reaches, it's almost like the Biggest Loser. If you hit a certain number, you pass. So for the first couple months, he's currently right now 265 pounds.
Right.
Woo! Okay. And the clause carries about $385,000 worth of incentive-based bonuses. Here's how it goes. If he slims down to 255 pounds, which is about, if he loses 10 pounds in May, when he checks in May, he will receive a $55,000 check. If in June, July, and August, he weighs in at 250, he will then get a $55,000 check for each month that he makes that weight. So for 3 months, they want him at 250. Then right at the start of the season, they want him down at 245. And if he can remain at 245 from September through February, he will receive $55,000 each month. Now, when you break it down to that such a hyper level, it really goes to show how overpaid. I don't want to say overpaid athletes are, because my thing is, well, then if the athletes don't get paid, the owners are getting paid. And the owners did not go on the field and slam their head into other heads. So I don't like to say that these guys earn too much money, but in the realm of where you and I, well, I don't go to work yet. I'm hoping. I hope I get a job. But when you go to work and all the boys over at the house go to work and they receive, you guys receive in a year, but this dude receives in a month for making a weight.
Right.
Which you think you would do on your own.
It's funny because you think, you look at the number 385,000, and in comparison to his deal, it doesn't even look like that much money. Now, that's more than I'm going to be making in the next 6 years, most likely.
Me too.
So it's still funny to see that, but 385,000, is that going to be enough incentive for him? You'd hope, at least, but
yeah, you'd hope.
He is earning $5.5 million regardless.
I don't know how much of it is guaranteed. Obviously, this $385,000 is part of the non-guaranteed side, and because he's injury prone, I would have to say that the guarantee is probably maybe closer to $1 million. I'd like to see a game check though, how much he's making per game, because that's like your guaranteed number.
Right.
Or like the games that you show up to. But a good signing nonetheless. I hope he stays healthy. Him and Thomas Rawls will be splitting carries, and they're both downhill running backs who both have ankle injuries.
Right.
So I'm interested to see how that plays out in Seattle. Going to the Steelers, they signed Rams and former Cowboys cornerback Cody Sensabaugh to a 2-year deal after potentially or maybe trading Tremaine Johnson. And the Vikings signed running back Latavius Murray out of Oakland Raiders. 3 years, $15 million. Murray wore number 28 with the Raiders, but he will not wear number 28 with the Minnesota Vikings in respect to Adrian Peterson. Classy move.
Yeah, it's good on him, for sure.
And
obviously, that number 28 will be retired by the Vikings at some point. Obviously not now, as he's still an NFL player, but I'm sure the minute he retires, 28 will be gone for good.
And there will be a ceremony at the opening game the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Vikings also re-signed wide receiver Adam Thielen to 3 years, $27 million with $11 million guaranteed. This dude has a pretty cool story. He was out of a satellite campus of if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't Minnesota University. It was Minnesota, like it's Penn State Altoona, Penn State Harrisburg.
Right.
Well, he came out of, I think it was Minnesota Bouquet, and he came out. Unsigned free agent, made the practice squad in 2013. Then in 2014 and 2015, he was a special teamer. Mm-hmm. And then in 2016, he led the team in receiving yards with just under 1,000 yards receiving. Almost broke the single-game receiving record, I think, at least for Minnesota. I don't know if it was a single-game NFL record, but he did catch 12 passes for 212 yards against the Packers. Which, when you think the Packers, like, okay, that's not that hard.
Right.
Because the Packers are really like a Swiss cheese defense. Just ready to be eaten alive.
No pun intended with the Swiss cheese, right?
Oh, man, I didn't even think about cheese. Yeah, Cheeseland. Yeah, they are about the consistency. Their defense is the consistency of Swiss cheese, which is soft.
Yeah.
As hell. They're soft. Packers are soft.